Chantal Desjardins and Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Show, featuring Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages.
Did you just almost mispronounce?
Listen, I'm just so cold. My mouth is still frozen. I walked here in shorts because I thought it was summer, and it's not summer.
It is summer.
Is it? Is it short summer?
Yeah, it's
okay.
Good. You're good. You're good.
Is that why you're in pants and a parka?
Yeah.
'Cause it's not
At least
quite
I'm
summer.
not wearing my hoodie anymore.
True, or your little hat.
My
Your
toque.
little hat that my mom loves so much. We are live here every Sunday, CJAD 1 to 2 p.m. You can watch us on Facebook Live. Head over to Facebook, type in Terry Kilakos, Kilakos. Watch the action. Give us a call anytime. Your real estate questions, 514-790-0800, or text us at 514-800. You had a good week, Terry?
I did. Yeah,
Good.
absolutely.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Now we got that part over. Okay, so today on the show, we're going to talk about the Canadian debt crisis. That's fun.
Yeah, it's going to be an exciting show. It's full of all the fun stuff that people love to talk about, which is credit and debt.
Nobody likes it, but you need to talk about it.
Yeah,
you
I
need
know,
to
I know.
understand it.
It's a part of our economy, unfortunately, and it's what drives it.
Totally, and how it affects us. That's
Yeah.
what I want to know.
Yeah, definitely.
So let's jump right into it. A little
Yeah.
market update.
Yeah, definitely. So the big news this week, the Montreal Real Estate Board did their new kind of projections and all that kind of stuff. And interestingly enough, house prices in Montreal have actually gone up, and they've gone up quite a bit. The increase is about 3% from last year. The board says that there were 5,432 home sales in April. That's up from last year. Last year was 4,957 at the same time. This is the highest number that it's been in about 8 years. Also, the price of homes is continuing to go up. Price of condos is going up, and the price of single-family homes has gone up quite a bit as well.
But that's not surprising. I mean,
No, it's not surprising. I was reading the article that they put out, and we've talked about this before. We've said what's driving this, right? So what's driving these increases in home prices? Let's look at another stat that just came out this week from the GMRAB, which is the Greater Montreal Real Estate Board, which they talk about the number of listings has actually drastically gone down compared to last year. And I think the number was it's down by 17 or 18% compared to last year, which is huge.
that is big.
It's very big. And one of the things that's driving that, and this is something, again, that people don't talk about, but it's very obvious to me just because of the line of work that I'm in, is that people don't qualify for mortgages as much as they did last year or the year before that, right? So let's say you had that house that was in that $350,000, $400,000 range. You were thinking about selling it because you wanted to upgrade and get something that was, more expensive, if you will. You go to the bank or you go to the mortgage broker, they start to run your numbers, and then as soon as they run the numbers, they're like, you don't qualify for anything greater than $380,000 or $400,000. The reason why the people are not qualifying is because of the new mortgage rules, right, that came in. So these new mortgage rules have reduced people's buying power by about 20 to 30%, depending on, obviously what price range they're kind of looking at.
So a lot of them are probably like, wow, if I can't afford what I wanted to go up by, I'll just stay in my own house.
Exactly. So they're not selling to buy something else. And even if they did sell something that was at $350,000, $400,000, they wouldn't be able to go off and buy something else because whatever they're going to be buying in the $400,000 range should have been selling in the $300,000s anyways.
Right.
Right? Because the prices have gone up. So because inventory is low, people are basically, sellers are taking advantage of it. And they're like, well, we can ask for whatever we want to ask, and people are going to buy.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what's happening. If we look at Northeast Realties, and Eleni is actually going to be here next week. She's nice enough to kind of come in, and during Mother's Day, I sprung it on her yesterday.
That's nice of her.
Yeah.
You're planning something special?
For me? Yeah, definitely. I am.
Right.
As my wife is like, and it's also her anniversary. So,
Oh, you got it. Yeah, you got to do some.
So she's nice enough. I kind of sprung it on her. I was like, next week you got to be on the show. And she's like, but it's Mother's Day.
All right,
Anyways,
good to know. Lenny, see you there.
so Lenny's going to be here next week, and she's going to talk a little bit more about this. But effectively, what's happening right now, it's become a seller's market, right? So we've gone from a buyer's market to kind of a balanced market, and now it's back to being a seller's market. And like I said, sellers can kind of ask whatever they want, and they're getting away with it just because there's not a lot of inventory out there. So that's one thing. The other thing, if we're looking at the condos, condo prices have gone up, and condo sales has drastically gone up as well, because now people are only being they only qualify for condos, right? So um, when you look at it, people that were thinking, young professionals, people that were actually thinking about getting into the home market, they wanted to buy that house in the $300,000-$400,000 range, but what's out there is kind of a little lackluster. So they're saying, well, instead of us renting, let's just go into a condo, and that's what they're doing right now. They're going into condos, which is driving up the prices. So that's interesting. The other big news, which we've talked about, the results came in from the tail end of last year about the debt that's going on in Canada. We're at 170%.
That's
right
crazy.
now.
All-time high?
All-time high, which means for every dollar that Canadians are spending, for every dollar that Canadians are earning, okay, after taxes, they're spending $1.70. This is huge.
What's wrong with us? Why are we spending so much more than we're making?
This is, you got to keep up with the Joneses, right? This is unfortunately, the reality of it. One of the big driving forces behind that is mortgages. This is kind of keeping up the Bank of Canada people up at night, because they're kind of looking at it. 3/4 of that debt is related to mortgages, right? So because it's related to mortgages, they're kind of stressed out over it. And then the rest of it obviously comes in from credit cards, lines of credit, student loans, everything else. I think that people just kind of like to bury their head in the sand when it comes to debt and to, liabilities. They don't like to talk about it. They don't like to read about it. They don't like to listen, when
So if
someone's
you
talking
ignore
about
it, it'll go away?
Yeah, unfortunately, it doesn't. And, I wrote a blog this week, and every time I write a blog, I end up having, a couple of thousand people that, will log into our website and they'll read the blog. I wrote this blog this week, had the same dissipation. It was about a quarter of the audience that I had on it.
Because people literally saw debt and saw that they didn't
they were
want to
like,
read
la,
about
la, la, la.
Wow,
Like they put
the
their fingers in their
ear.
ears and covered their eyes. They're like, I don't want to talk about this. This is not, it's not a happy subject, but it's not anything bad. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this show today, because I want to talk about, there's nothing wrong with being in debt. You just have to have the right kind of debt. And as long as you have your proportions correct, between your assets and your liabilities, you'll be okay. Unfortunately, people are focusing way too much on their debt. And what that ends up doing is it just ends up creating a lot more debt, right? So it's important for people to kind of, not hide their head in the sand and actually face what's going on and face the problem. Because when you're looking at the stats, it's at 170, but that's an average. Keep in mind, right? If you look at the actual number, some people are at 100. The majority of them are actually at 350.
Wow.
Right? So a lot of people are at 350% of what they're earning is actually going to debt.
But 350%, you must be like spending pretty recklessly.
Well, what is it? Moravo, was it 80%? Sorry, 8%? 8%. So 8% of the people, okay, were at 350% of their
And
income.
once you get into that, I mean, how do you ever get out?
It's a vicious circle.
All right. And what is this? The household debt is above 100% of our GDP. Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when you're looking at it, right, so you look at the national GDP numbers, okay, so the debt load right now is actually way above that, which is not normal. This is actually going to cause a huge problem. If the government decides to start raising interest rates, we have a huge problem. What that's going to end up doing, there's going to be job losses that's going to be created. There's going to be a whole lot of issues that arise from that.
More on the Canadian debt crisis and how it's going to affect all of us. We promise we'll make it easy you don't have to put your fingers in your ears and go la, 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 because we'll help you get out of debt, I think. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Call us, 514-790-0800, or text us at 514-800. But first, here's a look at the roads with Kira Yeager.
Over on DeCarry North, you're backing down to Côte St. Catherine. We are also looking at a 10-minute delay right now on the 15 North.
You have them.
Oh,
No.
You did all that prep and it was all the homework.
I opened this and I was like,
there's my Highlanders that aren't there.
That's why you didn't know your stats.
Oh, I was like, what's the stat?
That's a big stat.
That's crazy.
That's crazy.
It's live right now.
But you have to just be like if 8% of people are at 350%, like you must realize. I could see maybe like, you know, making $1 and spending $1.70 and maybe letting it like fly. But if you're at like 350%, you must just be like wasting money every day.
I remember when I was when I just started like in my engineering, I was earning $30,000. I went to the bank. They said, "Oh, you have excellent credit. You're pre-qualified for $40,000 of total debt. So we'll give you like a $20,000 line of credit. We'll give you a $10,000 credit card." I was like, "This doesn't make sense."
No, it doesn't add
Like
up.
the
You know?
numbers-
Why are they giving you?
I don't know.
Why are they facilitating putting yourself in a bigger hole?
Yeah, I know. Oh my God, your earphones are loud.
Very loud. So let's talk about the important stuff. Mother's Day next week and your anniversary.
Yeah,
did you
Ivy
get
has a
married?
big gift hidden
Yeah.
somewhere.
Ooh, is it sparkly?
It must be sparkly.
It must be sparkly. Did you get married on Mother's Day weekend so that he could avoid buying 2 gifts?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Good to know.
It was his plan
I get it.
all along.
I get it.
I didn't know at the time.
And now it's too late. Isn't that what they say? Never get like married on like a holiday. It's
Yeah.
like with kids that have their birthdays like at Christmas.
Oh
and they
my
always
God.
get
I have a
ripped
friend who's born December 25th.
off. Always get ripped off or what?
No, so she tells him, "I want 2 gifts."
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's only fair.
Everybody else gets 2 gifts.
Right?
Yeah.
What
What do you think? Should you get 2 gifts?
Of course. If it's an
Or
anniversary
like one
and it's
bigger?
Mother's Day.
Or one bigger gift.
Okay, as long as it's bigger, but you can't be like, you know, just bigger than the first gift and be like,
Yeah.
that's it, you know? It depends who you're with.
What do you think, Terry?
What do you think, Terry?
One bigger gift or 2 gifts or just one gift? Because
How
too
about
bad,
no
so
gifts?
sad.
No gifts?
No gifts. How about
Wow.
actually realizing that we all have more than
The
what we
gift
need?
is each other.
Oh, that's sweet. As long as it comes with something sparkly.
That's how I'm trying to like get out of it.
I get it. Have you planned something yet? Is it like a surprise? Is
We
it an
went to
activity?
Vegas. We literally just got back from Vegas.
Wasn't
That
that
was
your
his
birthday?
birthday. He takes one event and he spreads it out for that was for
Yeah.
your birthday and for my birthday.
So now, did
and
you get
for
him
the
a birthday gift and
No, I
get
got
him-
him a birthday gift.
Okay,
and
now-
we went to Vegas. It wasn't my gift. We just
Okay,
went to
right.
Vegas.
right?
You know,
Okay.
but I did get him a birthday gift. So now I'm
And now you're also going to get him an anniversary gift.
yes,
Oh, well then, there's no question about it.
exactly. And in June I'll get him a Father's Day gift.
Aww.
So definitely I deserve 2 gifts.
Totally.
Wow.
Harry, you better get planning. He's right now on like
It's probably
Expedia.ca looking up
Amazon cheap anniversary
Yeah.
gifts.
Hold on.
lastminutepresents.com.
We've been married for what, 12 years?
12 years.
I think that's the paper anniversary.
Is it?
No.
Better not
I
be.
think you just made that
I
up
think
so
you
that he
just
could
made
give
that
me a
up.
piece of paper.
Here it is. Paper. What is 12 years?
12 years. I don't know.
Somebody
For
bought
10,
this.
I got sparkly stuff, so I'm not
Okay.
gonna complain.
Okay, so 12th wedding anniversary gifts. The traditional 12th anniversary gifts are silk and linen. You're getting bed sheets. Nice.
I think we're going on air.
We're going on air. Silk and linen. I'm getting myself silk underwear and linen.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. If you could see what goes on behind the scenes here, you would love it. And you can if you go to Facebook, you type in Terry Kilakos, and you can see what Terry is planning for his wife for Mother's Day. It involves silk and linen, because that's the 12-year anniversary. Give us a call, 514-790-0800, or text us at 514-800. Today, we are talking about the Canadian debt crisis and how it's affecting us all. I do find it very interesting that people don't want to hear it. You'd think that they'd want to learn a little bit more about it.
It amazes me.
You
It
know, to
amazes
just
me.
tune out. If you ignore it, it goes away.
I was dumbfounded by the fact that my blog had like a quarter of the reach
That's
of
so
what
interesting.
it normally has.
So interesting.
And anyways, we got a text in before we kind of get into the show. Hi, great show. What is good debt? Can one buy a duplex of $400,000 using the wrap of $25,000 RSP, but is also with debt of $50,000 working full time? What are the options? Can the debts be included in the mortgage to make one only monthly payment. Thanks, Susan. Okay, so that's a really good question. So first, let's tackle each thing individually. What is good debt? Any debt that basically will return give you a return back would be considered good debt.
So any real estate.
Real estate, it's not only real estate, just because this is a real estate show, I don't want people to think that I'm saying that real estate is the only good investment. There's a lot of good investments out there that you can do that'll actually generate a return for you that's greater than what you're paying out. So I'll give you something simple. If I tell you I'm going to lend you $100,000 at 10% interest, okay, and you're like, okay, and you take that money and you lend it out, or you use it, let's say, I don't know, you go gallivanting with it, right? You go on vacation, you buy a car, you do like a whole bunch of stuff. It's not worth it, right? I mean, that you're paying 10% on $100,000. That's definitely not a good investment. But if you take that money, that 100,000 that I just lent you at 10%, and you take it and you do something with it, right? So something productive, buy real estate, buy other investments, lend it out, something that's going to give you a greater return than 10%. Let's call it 15, let's call it 20%. Now, all of a sudden, that loan, that debt that you just received is a good debt because you're actually receiving something greater for it than what you're paying out.
Right.
So that would be good debt. Toxic debt is credit cards, stuff like that, okay? Can one buy a duplex with $400,000 using the wrap of $25,000? Yes, you can, provided it's your first home and you're going to be living in it. So you can theoretically buy anything as long as you're going to live in it, provided I believe it's not commercial. If it's commercial, you can't. But you could buy a single family, duplex, triplex, fourplex, 5-unit, whatever. Okay, and as long as you're going to live in it, you're good to go. You can use the home buyer's plan. With debt of $50,000, can you roll it all together? No. Okay, so this is a big misconception that people have. People think that, well, I have $50,000 of credit card and a whole bunch of different debts lying around. Can I take that debt, roll it into my mortgage that I'm going to be getting? So let's say someone's buying a duplex, they're putting 5% down, and they say, I'm going to take this $50,000 now and roll it into the mortgage so I have one low monthly payment. Doesn't work like that. I don't know where this came from. Maybe it came from the States, because in the States you used to be able to finance properties at 120% of whatever you were buying them for. You can't do that in Canada. The maximum loan to value on a purchase is 95%. We do have banks that'll give you a 5% cashback, which you could use to pay off certain debts, but that also comes at a higher interest rate. If it makes sense, you do it. If it doesn't, you don't. Right? It's simple as that. And can debts be, and that's it. That's I think that answers Susan's question.
Wow. It's crazy that 8% of people are at 350% of debt. You think you just have to be so reckless to be doing that.
Life happens though, right? I mean, there's job loss, there's all kinds of things that occur in people's lives. And if people are not prepared for it, this unfortunately is what ends up occurring, right? So you end up, a couple, they're living a nice, comfortable life. They have credit card debt. They have whatever, I don't know, cars and lines of credit and so on and so forth, and a mortgage. And then all of a sudden something happens to one of them, right? And now when something happens to one of them, the burden, that financial burden, ends up falling on the other spouse. So that person would be spending 300% of their actual income, right? On debt. That's why it's important that when you're healthy, you prepare for these things, right? By getting life insurance and getting disability insurances and all that kind of good stuff, right?
Yeah. We just have a call from Mark right now on the line about using collateral.
Hello,
Mark.
Listen. Hey, Mark.
Hi. How are you?
Yeah, absolutely. Good. Sorry.
Jerry, I have a question to ask
I'm looking at two different things at the same time. Sorry.
Okay, I have a question to ask you, okay?
Yeah.
I own my own home, and I have about $400,000 of equity in the house.
Okay.
And I want to buy a rental property.
Okay.
Like a triplex or a quadruplex or a duplex. So I want to know if I can use some of my collateral in my house to buy something in the, let's say, $300,000 range, $350,000, something like that.
You can use all of it. So basically, well, up to 80% of it. So let's say you have $100,000 your property is worth, you could theoretically refinance that property up to $80,000, which means that you would have $80,000 provide if you don't have a current mortgage on it, you would have $80,000 available. If you don't if you have a mortgage, then you just subtract whatever your mortgage is off it, and then you can use that money for a down payment on the triplex or fourplex or whatever else you're going to be buying. Interestingly enough, when you do that, and this is what's wonderful about doing this, the mortgage that you're going to take on your principal residence, because it was used for investment purposes. So you took that money and you're actually buying a triplex or a fourplex that's going to be generating a return for you. Yep. Now that mortgage becomes tax deductible.
Okay.
So it's a good thing.
Okay, and plus it adds on to my salary, right? The income?
The income that you're going to be generating on from your rents will be added to your salary, but that's where you have to start getting creative, right? So there's ways that you can offset that that income. So for example, I'll give you just a simple little strategy. Let's say you have $10,000 of excess income that's coming in, because when you have, let's say you have $20,000 of revenue that's being generated by a property, you have interest payments on the mortgage, right? So both interest payments on the mortgage on your principal residence as well as the rental, if it has a mortgage as well. There's taxes, there's cost for heating if you have, insurance, all that stuff gets subtracted from the income. So your 20, let's say, goes down to 10. Now you have $10,000 left over. That $10,000 is taxable at whatever your tax bracket is. And it could actually raise your tax bracket as well. So if you don't theoretically need that money, nothing stops you from taking it, dumping it into an RRSP. The minute you dump it into an RRSP, what you've effectively done is you've offset that income. By offsetting that income, now you don't pay any extra taxes on it.
I see.
Okay, so there's all kinds of strategies. I just kind of like, this is just really quick. It might not be applicable for you, but there's all kinds of things that you can do to offset that income. You could do capital cost allowances on the building. There's all kinds of things, but it has to make sense for you.
Okay, and if I went to the bank and proposed this to them, they would be okay with that? Like, if it made sense?
I think that you're better off going to a mortgage broker like myself, but yes, you could probably go to a bank and they'll be okay with it as well.
You can call Terry anytime at 514-680-4674, Mark. Thanks for the call. We are still talking about the Canadian debt crisis and how it's affecting all of us, why we all need to be concerned about the rising debt in our country. Coming up after this.
The Real Estate Show is brought to you by Northeast Mortgages.
Honey, we should go variable on our mortgage. We'll save more money.
I prefer the security of fixed payments. Let's call Terry Kilakos.
I'm Terry Kilakos. Deciding between a fixed or variable rate is an important decision.
Okay. You gotta tell me when I'm live, because
Like this?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean live?
When she's going to like this, we have to
you know what?
break.
I just want to touch onto continue on what Mark was saying before I was so like rudely interrupted.
We could have kept him on, I guess, if you wanted to keep talking to him.
It's okay. I'm gonna say that Chantal cut him off. Whatever. It's all good.
That's true. You could have.
If you want, we should have like a signal that if you want to keep him on for after, you give me a signal like.
Yeah,
like that. Terry, you got this? You got Marav's? You got her looks?
What are you doing?
What are you doing? Tell us more.
Art. It's art. See?
Wow.
Yeah.
But it is interesting that to know that. Okay, bye Terry. Bye. Thanks for coming. Bye Terry. Terry, just for those that sitting at home watching, you think
I deal with this every day.
Bye. Welcome back, Terry.
I call it squirrel brain.
Hey, look, when we want to censor the camera.
Oh my God.
You just put a cup over it.
You just put a cup over
See?
it. This is your leader, everybody. This is your fearless leader.
Wow, man.
Remember that
Yeah,
time
so
I was
we're
in the
like in the middle of a conversation. Oh, check out the squirrel.
Squirrel.
And he's gone again.
Marav, you're a lucky lady. You're a lucky
Take a
lady.
lot of medication, people.
I get it.
I had said that once at a party. They're like, "How do you do it with this guy?" I said the truth. A lot of medication.
Yeah.
So what are you up to this week? You're no longer breakfast television?
No. So I did it for a month. It was wonderful. Great experience. Great little team. Waking up at 3:30 in the morning.
Not so good
No
for the
fun.
body.
No fun. Zero fun. I would go to bed like a 90-year-old at 8 p.m.
Oh,
8 p.m. My girlfriend texted me at 7:45 saying, "Come sit on my rooftop in Old Montreal. We'll have a bottle of wine. We'll watch
And
the
you're
sun.
like,
It's
nope.
got a fireplace." And I was like, "I'm going to bed in 15 minutes."
Oh.
What's Terry doing? What's Terry doing?
No clue. I feel so bad for these poor
Can you even
viewers
see it? Can you even
who
see
think
it?
this is a serious show.
It is a serious show. It's just if you watch the Facebook video, you can
Facebook.
The Facebook.
Oh my god, it actually looks hilarious.
Is
on
it?
Facebook
Is it funny?
Live. It looks pretty funny.
Wow. I want to check it out.
Okay,
I'm gonna pull it up.
Terry, please.
Terry.
Terry. No,
Terry.
no.
Terry, put the guy away. Put the
sumo wrestler.
Put the sumo wrestler.
away.
Wait, I want to see now. I don't see it.
Oh, you're gonna see it. It's
Still don't see it.
It's coming. Oh, cause you're
Oh, there he is. That's so funny. I can't even take it.
But he's right that you don't. People don't like talking about this stuff. Okay,
No.
I'm the sumo wrestler's back. I'm really trying to have a serious conversation here.
I love.
And
that.
he's just there. He's just present.
Wait, I want to see the sumo wrestler. I want to take a picture.
The sumo wrestler is going on top of the camera.
It's just it's. Oh yeah. Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, that's good. Oh god. Yeah.
I think that it should be.
The Terry Chantal Marav show?
Yeah.
So do
I think people actually
want to see you.
People want to see Marav more than they actually want to see me.
I
so.
agree. I mean, I don't know about that, but it may be like,
Yeah.
even
Come on.
Stevens.
I'm no Terry Kilakos.
Yeah.
But you know what they say about
Thanks,
every
Danny, for
great
that.
man?
There's
Much
a greater
appreciated.
woman.
And
Greater
thanks,
woman.
Carter.
So,
Danny DeSantis just said, very happy with the service from my broker, Guy Belanger.
nice.
Guy's one of our brokers.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's
and
good people,
Carter
Guy.
also
And
commented.
Carter, great job, Terry. Nice answer. You know your stuff.
Yeah, you do.
Carter, I love this guy. Just because he said that.
But Carter in the last show did say that he was very happy he used Northeast Realties for
wow.
two of his
Fun.
transactions and was very happy.
That's
so.
awesome. So, what do you want to touch on that Mark said that you want to bring back?
No, I think that's it.
No.
No, he wanted to talk to Mark, I think.
No, I just want to talk about a little bit the difference between mortgage brokers and banks.
Okay.
Oh yeah, anyways, we're covering that in
So, do you want to come back with that, or you want to touch on
Yeah,
that
I'm going
later
to come
on?
back to that.
So basically that would
Do.
that's sort of like what we're covering here, number 8.
Okay.
We're sort of going to be touching on it.
Okay.
So it could be like a follow-up question to that.
But he wants to come into it right now.
He wants to go into it, but
Okay,
I mean
and then
that
this
could be
could
a
be the- yeah,
follow-up
yeah.
if
Okay.
ever it goes into that conversation.
Okay.
Oh,
And then
or
do we
here
go back
too.
to?
Or
Then
here
should we
too,
go
or
back
9.
to after that? Should we go back to?
Yeah, I think so.
Like 1, like
Also
even
here,
like
this one too is related.
yeah. Okay.
That's a big problem, by the
Okay.
way.
So we'll go into these guys
Yeah,
first.
so maybe Terry's going to touch on it already.
All right, Terry. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Okay, I'm going to remove the sumo wrestler because it's going to fall in the middle.
Give me the sumo wrestler.
Where'd you even find the sumo wrestler?
Just,
Yeah, he should live on. Like, is it going to be cute there? Can you see him?
oh, yeah, we could see.
Oh yeah.
I'm going to zoom on to him.
You think somebody's going to steal the sumo wrestler? If we leave
Well,
him
it
there all
does
week?
belong to someone, I think.
I found it outside.
So you stole it from someone.
Yeah,
No,
well, I'll put it
no,
back.
he does not steal. He just borrows long term.
Do.
Okay.
Okay.
Rock and roll, baby.
Right?
I think so.
Okay. Hi, I want to book this morning during the trivia show. Can you please put it back in the prize pool? We won't be able to pick it up.
Hilarious.
Um,
So basically, we have a book to give away on the show today.
okay. Will do.
You're texting him back?
Yeah.
And are you going to follow up and actually text whoever gave away the book?
Well, it
Is
was
the show back on,
Kim
guys?
Connors, right? No, it's Ken Connors.
No, just because we can't hear
I
it.
can't hear it. I get it. Oh, I think it's going to take like a week to get over that morning show. I'm still drained. Still. 3:30 in the morning. I was going to call both of you every morning.
What I'm curious about is what people think about Chantal. What do you guys think about Chantal on, where are you, on breakfast television? Don't you think she should be like an actual...
An actual what?
Like, fully, like, engulfed in breakfast television and like...
Are you trying to get rid of me on the real estate show here on CJAD? Is that what
Kelly
you're
wants
saying?
to take your place.
You funny.
Oh, we got someone that
You
gave
funny.
you a big heart.
Oh, hearts to you. Hearts to
Moshba.
you.
Moshba Gazi.
Oh,
Chantal.
that's nice. That's a nice.
How come I don't get any hearts? Whatever.
I'm sure people will send you hearts.
Yeah, maybe.
Oh. Just started watching Suits.
What?
Suits.
Yeah.
Finally.
What was that? Only 2 episodes came back.
No.
I'm on season 1.
No, she literally just...
Yeah, like literally. With Meghan Markle getting married. What about Meghan Markle and this whole scandal with her family? So now, like, her family hates her, and she hates the family. And the stepbrother writes like an open letter to everybody saying don't marry her.
I watched yesterday Why Him. Did you see that movie?
You just ignored everything she said.
I know. Does this have anything to do with Meghan Markle?
Nothing.
Anything to do with Meghan Markle?
Oh.
Here we gotta go. So we don't get to talk about either thing that we want to talk about. Except we get to talk about debt. Debt.
Terry is air drumming in the studio.
I was not air drumming.
Bow, ba, bow.
Okay.
Welcome back to the Real Estate Show. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages. Myself, Chantal Desjardins. You can call us 514-790-0800. You can text us 514-800. You can send us little smiley face emojis on Facebook right now because we're live.
Yeah.
Before the break, we were talking to Mark about the difference between mortgage brokers and banks.
Well, this is kind of what I wanted to talk about, right? So Mark had a question about how to structure buying a investment property using equity that he currently has. This is where the big difference comes in between bankers and mortgage brokers. And I don't want to generalize, right? I don't want to say that all mortgage brokers are great and bankers are bad, and I don't want to do that. But you do have to understand that there is a big difference. The majority of mortgage brokers are there to basically come up with solutions, if you will, that are going to be able to help you structure transactions like this. So they're going to tell you we can pull out this much equity from here and use it towards this purchase, and that's what we do. Okay, so we try and figure out tax strategies. We try and figure out what's going to be the best approach to use. You go to a bank, that's not what you get. Okay, not to insult anyone again, because I got a lot of hate mail last time when I said this. Okay, so I won't say this again, but you have to be careful where you're getting your advice. You got to make sure that the advice that you're getting from a mortgage specialist at a bank is actually proper, right? Most of them are just say, just put up a line of credit on your house and
yeah, but ethically, don't they have to give you the best?
No, they work for a bank. Period. Mortgage brokers work for you.
It's just so sneaky.
Yeah, we're licensed, we're bonded. Think about it. Okay, so if I steer my clients wrong, right? So if I tell my client this is the way you need to structure something, and I've done something that is in my interest as opposed to their interest,
right?
That client can come after me. Okay. 80% of the time, when a bank structures something, it's in the bank's interest, and you cannot go after
I think a lot of people don't know that. You know, you go to a bank for so long, you get a banker that you kind of trust, and then bam, sneaky.
The thing is, where are you going to find a banker that has been around for longer than 5 years?
Right.
Okay, the majority of them, they're doing one thing one day, they're doing something else the day after, and they're doing something else the next day.
Right.
Right. So it's so hard nowadays to develop a relationship with a banker. There's no more career bankers. It doesn't exist, right? There's no one that's going to, wake up one day and say, I'm going to go become a banker, and they go in and they stay in that position for the next 20 years where they're able to support their client base. They're going to go in, they're going to do work as a teller, then they're going to go to the real estate side, sorry, the mortgage side, or they're going to go into the investment side, and then they're going to try something else, and going to try something else within the bank, and they're going to flip around.
Right.
Right. And meanwhile, just as you're starting to get comfortable with someone, boom, they're gone.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think between all the banks that I've ever used, I don't think I've ever had an advisor, if you will, someone that's been working at the bank for longer than 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Now, why do some of the big five banks not like the mortgage broker channel?
So, do you want the politically correct answer?
No,
Or do you want,
no,
okay.
let's uncensor it. I'll beep whenever you say something inappropriate.
So you got your finger on the
Ready?
button?
No, I was just going to say beep, actually. I don't know where the button is. Ready?
So
Go, beep.
you think of it like this, okay? So when you're looking at the average client that comes in through the brokerage channel, they're a lot more educated than the average client that goes directly to the bank.
Okay.
Okay.
Because they already know better.
Well, think of it like this, okay? I have a client that comes in. He says to me, you know what, Terry, I want to use Bank ABC.
Mhm.
Okay. Bank ABC has always been my client, has always been my bank. That's the bank that I want to use. Let's say it's her. So I look at it and I say, okay, no problem. So we structure the mortgage. I give him the advice. I tell him how to, like I did with Mark before. So I tell him, you got to do this, this, that. And we structure things. I tell them, don't take mortgage life insurance because it's not worth it. You got to go and get proper insurance for your life, which is actually cheaper and it's actually works better. Don't get that loan that they're going to try and offer you. Don't do this. So now all of a sudden, the bank, when they receive that client, right? So let's say once I set up that mortgage with Bank ABC and they go in to sign their papers, what ends up happening is that client knows better than the average person that's walking in. So when the banker says to him, we'd like to set up mortgage life insurance for you, he's going to say, no, thank you. I already have life insurance.
Right.
Okay. When they try and lie to them and they say, well, you're putting less than 20% down, so it automatically has to be insured, they know that that doesn't mean life insurance. That means CMHC insurance, right? So all these things, they know that they shouldn't be taking, closing credit cards and taking credit cards that the bank is giving them. They know all that. So they have a lot more education than when they're walking in. So because they have that education, the bank is not able to cross-sell them.
Right.
You have to remember, to the big five, a mortgage is a lost leader. They're not making money on that. Most of the time, they want to use that mortgage to get you in. Once they get you in, they're going to cross-sell you life insurance, lines of credit, credit cards, so on and so forth. And if they're not able to do that, they don't like it. So they've realized that clients that come in from the brokerage channel are already
One step ahead.
One step ahead, so they're not able to cross-sell them. And because they're not able to cross-sell them, they've decided to step away from the brokerage channel and set up their own salespeople to do the transactions. That's where you have mortgage specialists that come in. And mortgage specialists, because they work for the banks, they're going to cross-sell everything and anything to the clients.
And now that, like mortgage brokers, you hear of mortgage brokers with banks, but that's different
No,
than...
there's no such thing as a mortgage broker with a bank.
So why do they call some bank representative mortgage brokers?
Because they are...
That's just misleading?
Misleading.
Okay.
Okay, so I've had mortgage specialists, so people that work for banks, say to me, oh, I'm a mortgage broker too.
And you're like, no, you're not.
And I'm like, really? Where do you work? And they're like, oh, for
Bank X.
And I'm like, and who else? Bank X. You're not a broker. You're a
you will
mortgage
straight
sales...
up call them out on it.
You are not a broker. And yes, I am. Do you have a license? No. So you're not a broker. You're a sales rep. That's all you
and
are.
like the regular person won't be able to call them out because, they don't know any better. So it's kind of, I don't know, it seems just a bit misleading.
Yeah.
We just got a text in. Hi, Terry, can I claim my mortgage interest payments on my single dwelling on my income tax? Thanks, Clement.
No, if it's not used for investment purposes, you cannot, right? So interest payments that are on a single dwelling, you cannot write them off. If we lived in the States, you could. But in Canada and Quebec, you can't write that off unless you've used that money on the mortgage for investment purposes. And we actually have another text that came in on Facebook, which we'll get to after traffic.
Unless it's really good, if you can do it in 30 seconds or less.
What are the pros and cons concerning starting a holding company?
Sounds like a long one.
No, it's a long one. We'll get to it right after the traffic.
Canadian debt crisis, how it's affecting all of us, including the very long text message that Terry just got on Facebook Live. You can call us 514-790-0800. You can text us 514-800. You can go to Terry Kilakos on Facebook, and you can send us a message there, and you can watch us live. We're waving right now at the camera. Woo. In the meantime, Kira Yeager is going to take a look at the roads. Here she goes.
Hey there. Well, we do have an accident. It's on the westbound metro.
I gotta keep you in line.
Why? How long was that text?
It's not that
Seemed like a long
but-
text. The
No, it's
pros, the cons,
No,
like an
it's not.
alphabetical order.
It's gonna take me long to answer it. So
I figured.
Yeah.
So we still have a lot to get to. I mean, we haven't even gone through question 1 yet.
So just like
just
But we
straight
did,
off the
we
rails,
did do,
off the rails.
yeah.
8 and 9. We
We did 8 and 9.
Yeah, that's all.
Are there any ones you want to touch on for sure? Because you might get one.
Well, sort of number 2 was touched
okay.
on a little
Okay.
bit.
Yeah, because life just happens.
Life happens.
Well, we can go to number 6.
I've been in that situation.
Sure. I mean,
After my
let's go to
divorce,
five.
it's like you don't even know what to do. You're
Yeah.
spending on lawyer bills. You don't know how to
Exactly.
handle
You're
your
just like-
finances.
Okay, let's go 4, 5, 6.
okay.
And then that should, I'll answer this one. So I'll answer, Angela, I'm going to answer your question on air because it's a really good question. So just stay tuned for a couple of minutes. We should be back in.
Stay tuned. That's radio
minutes.
speak.
Stay
That's radio.
tuned.
Stay tuned.
That's like
this.
1980s.
Yeah, I know. 1980s radio
This
speak.
just
Stay
in.
tuned. Breaking news. I'm plugging my ear for some reason with this hand.
Yes, it is confirmed.
This is in fact not a
What?
terrorist attack. Did you ever see? Okay,
Go on.
my heart bleeds for the victims of the space shuttle when it blew up, the last one.
I get it.
Because I'm very much into space exploration and NASA and pro NASA and all that stuff. Anyways, so I was watching when the shuttle exploded the last time, right? And I'm watching like CNN and all kinds of stuff. And you see the radio announcers, they're coming on, the TV announcers, they're like, okay, so this just in, yeah, reports are in. It's been confirmed that this is in fact not a terrorist attack
Like
on the
the
space
not
shuttle.
was like, did he say not or did he say it is? So yes,
I
it's
was
confirmed. It is in fact not a terrorist attack. And
so
they're
what,
putting
they're
it
just-
in big.
No.
Confirmed, not terrorist attack. And it's like,
Yeah.
You're just trying to get more.
like they needed that
That
tagline.
headline.
This
Like
is
it's also not
confirmed.
aliens.
Yeah.
You know, or not.
Aliens have not shot down. I felt terrible with that.
Oh, that was terrible.
Yeah. But that was just funny with the CNN people.
Oh.
This is a bad angle for me. What do you guys think? Is this a bad angle?
I know. I
for
feel
me?
like the camera's like I look good.
It's just like
I look good
Chantal
face
looks
on.
real good.
No,
'cause,
no,
like,
no.
you're
I look
far.
good face on.
But it's like,
if
why
nobody
do
looks good when they turn to the
this
side.
close?
You know,
Yeah.
side profile is
It's
not
like,
a
I
good
don't like
profile.
it. Your arm always looks bigger than
I know.
what
I'm
it
just sitting
is.
here flexing
Your
the whole
belly
show.
looks
You know,
bigger.
just so that,
Yeah, you're like holding in your
yeah,
belly.
you're trying to like not
and
to.
like holding your back up, and you're like.
You know, there's an app now. I forget which one it is. You can actually like suck things in the app. So in a picture, you just like.
You know, I did a whole thing again. I did a whole speech about this. How social media is fake reality.
Of course, it's fake.
But people base themselves on this. Oh, everybody looks so
They're
happy.
so good. This is
Everybody
like your
looks so
highlight reel. This is what it is. It's
successful.
like social media is not real.
It's not real.
Yeah.
It's literally, this is my tagline. Anybody wants to use it, go for it. It's a photoshopped reality.
It's a photoshopped reality.
It's
Trademark, Marav.
Trademark. Nobody
Trademark.
can use that as trademark. No, but seriously,
Very true.
it's any
You know?
picture you see, people have a, the sumo wrestler is extremely weird.
Oh, it's. Sorry, Terry. We just have a thing we got to do. A little show. If you want to. We just got a message from Colleen too. Did you see this one?
No.
So many messages. So.
Welcome back, The Real Estate Show. Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker. Myself, Chantal Desjardins. We've got Marav. We've got a fake sumo wrestler that is making an appearance on Facebook Live. If you want to go check it out, 514-790-0800. Text us, 514-800, or check out that Facebook Live because we've got
The
text
sumo
coming
wrestler.
in. We've got the sumo wrestler. I don't know if he has a name or Terry just stole it from someone else.
Apparently, it's Shino. She
Oh, good. She know who.
She know who.
Good.
Something like that.
You got a text.
Okay, so let's go. Let's go to
The
Angelo.
Canadian debt crisis. Tell us more.
So Angelo has a text from Facebook. What are the pros and cons concerning starting a holding company when you own multiple properties? And then he corrected, not a holding company. Sorry, I meant just starting a Quebec Inc. So if you have multiple properties, rolling them into a holdco or a Quebec Inc. not a bad idea. You just got to make sure that it makes sense, right? You got to keep in mind when you have a corporation, you have the taxes that you need to file every year. You need to prepare financial statements, all that kind of good stuff, GST, PST, and so on and so forth. So you just got to make sure that what you're doing will make sense, okay? Plus, it's not as tax advantageous as some people think because the government did change the rules with respect to owning property within a company. Owning property within a company. Is that what I said? Did I say that?
Yeah.
Sort of, whatever. Anyways. So my wife corrects me after the show. You know, you said this instead of that. But anyways, whatever. So, as I was saying, it's not a bad thing to roll them in. You just got to make sure that it makes sense. If it doesn't make sense, then don't do it. If it does make sense, then go for it. Just consult a tax attorney when you are doing something like that, or an accountant that actually is very versed in these types of things to make sure that you're not going to end up triggering a capital gain when you do the rollovers as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, if your mortgage is higher than what your adjusted cost base is, when you do the rollover, you will have a capital gain that's going to be triggered.
Doesn't make sense then.
And it doesn't make sense, okay? Well, it could and it could not, right? I mean, I did it on one of my properties. I rolled it into a company, and I had a capital gain that was triggered, much to my wife's dismay. We paid the capital gain, and it's going to be good for my kids in the future. They won't have to pay that capital gain. So, I mean, we're off, we paid it now as opposed to paying it later.
Right.
So.
Colleen just texted, "Hi, Terry. Should I be including my municipal taxes in my mortgage payments to the bank?"
You could, as long as if it's convenient for you, you can definitely do that. The thing is that a lot of banks these days are actually charging for that service. So if your bank is going to charge you for that service, I don't suggest you do it. Just open up a savings account, something that's going to yield you a little bit of a return. And then what you can do is you can have that amount of money go into that savings account every mortgage payment automatically. You'll make a little bit of extra money with the interest that it's going to earn you. And then once a year, you transfer it and you pay your taxes with it. That's what I've always done. It worked well for me. But you have to be disciplined. You got to make sure that you're actually going to do those transfers. If you feel that you're not disciplined, then set it up with your bank.
Andrew texts, "Hi, Terry. Have a BMO mortgage. They're offering me a line of credit up to $20,000 in a recent email. Considering taking it, but scared it may be linked to my BMO mortgage. How to make sure it's not linked?"
So the first thing, obviously, you got to ask them the question, is this attached to my property? And they should be able to say yes or no. If it is, if you don't want to take it attached to your property, then just don't. I would think with $20,000 line of credit, I don't think it's going to be linked. And usually when you get stuff like that in the mail, it's probably just a personal line of credit that they're offering him. These banks, they love to give lines of credit. Line of credit is at a variable interest rate, don't forget. And now with interest rates on the poise to kind of go up, I think that, it just kind of falls in line really nicely with our topic for today, how, people are taking advice from the wrong people. They're taking advice from people where it's their business to keep you in debt, because that's how ultimately the big banks will make money, is when you're in debt, not when you're actually investing money with them.
So household debt increasing, all-time high. Is it easier to get approved for a credit card or a mortgage when the debt's at an all-time high?
So credit cards are super easy to get approved for. It's literally you'll go online. You fill out a form on on a website, you click submit, and within 60 seconds, it's going to come back to you and it's going to say you're approved or you're refused. They don't ask you to verify your income, so you can say that you earn $200,000 a year when meanwhile you're earning $20,000. Yeah, exactly. And they're just going to say, okay. Very rarely will they ask to prove that revenue. The same thing goes for most lines of credit.
Ethically, shouldn't they be doing their part?
Ethically, they should be doing their part, but unfortunately, they do not. Mm-hmm. And that's one of the big problems. This is what's causing it, right? Because don't forget, a mortgage is at 3% interest, Whereas a line of credit or a credit card, we're talking about a much higher interest rate, right? Typical credit cards are at 19%. So why are they going to do their due diligence?
Right.
Why do
They're
they
making
want to
money.
look
They're
at it?
rolling in it.
Yeah. And think about it. When your credit card is at 19% interest, and I don't care, and I know that there's a lot of people listening right now, and they're saying, mine is at 12% or mine is at 11. Listen, you have a fee that you're paying annually to have that interest rate
Exactly.
at 11%. Okay. And you got to remember something. When your interest rate is that high, whether it's 11, 12, 20, whatever it is, when you use that money, you better make sure that that money is generating some sort of a return for you. Because if it's not generating a return for you, you're going to get yourself into a vicious cycle. You're going to end up going into a tailspin, and then that's it. You can't get out of it unless you do something drastic. And that something drastic is, refinancing into your mortgage. But, oh, wait a minute, our government, thanks to bank lobbyists, has made it very difficult for consumers to refinance into their mortgage right now. Because why would the banks want you to refinance your high interest credit card debts into low interest mortgage debt?
To help people get out of debt?
Yeah.
But
they don't. They don't. Why would they?
But if you can, there would be benefit to refinancing your toxic debt.
Absolutely. If you're able to refinance, so if you have that equity in there and you're carrying toxic debt, you're better off refinancing it into the mortgage and figuring out a strategy that you can use to basically take that money, that extra money that you're going to be saving on a monthly basis, put it somewhere where it's going to actually earn you a bigger return, and that's it.
All right. Last thoughts. The Canadian debt crisis, all-time high, 170% debt to income.
Yeah.
Last thoughts on the whole thing.
Wow.
Get out of debt, guys.
Just make sure that the debt that you have is good debt as opposed to toxic debt. Okay. If you do feel that you have like this noose that's coming around your neck and that you're in trouble, pick up the phone, call us. This is what we're there for. Give us a call. Let me see if we could figure out a way to restructure that toxic debt for you and get rid of it. And if we're not able to, maybe we can come up with a couple of other creative solutions.
Terry Kilakos, president of Northeast Mortgages and chartered mortgage broker. You can call him anytime, 514-680-4674. That's it for us. Have a great week, guys.